Okay, sorry about that. Going live is trickier than you think. How's this look? Should we back up that camera a little bit? How's that? Okay, everything's A-okay. Boozhoo, and welcome back to the show. I am Nanaboozhoo, and this is the podcast about OJIBWE language and culture. Today, I guess I'd like to start the show with the Serenity Prayer. This is the prayer that a lot of, recovering alcoholics like to say. So this is the Serenity Prayer in Ojibwe. Gitche manado. Daga we duk gawishin. Wewe niji nana gudo wendaman. Geodapanaman inu gagashki ketosiwan. Ji anji sadoyan. Ji apichite ayan. Ji anji sadoyan gagashki ketoyan. Ji de apichi nabuakayan. Ji gain the man. Oh no. Creator, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things that I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. Mio minik, miglech bizan dawiya gitchi manadu. That's enough. Thank you for listening, Great Spirit. I don't know, something about this camera I still don't like. And I just dropped my drumstick. How's that? A little better? So yeah, how are you? How are yous? You ever notice that on the reservation? There's you, but you know how like down south they'll say you all? Well, up here they'll say yous. Hey yous! Hey yous guys! You hold it down out there. So yeah, the Serenity Prayer. You know, I only went to one AA meeting, and it was years ago when a buddy of mine was trying to kind of hook up with this girl, but they were both in a halfway house, and the only time they could go out was to go to a AA meeting together. But he didn't have a car, and so he was like, "Hey man, can you come to my AA meeting with me? There's a girl I'm kind of hooking up with." I'm like, yeah, sure. But I think it's probably a good thing. I quit drinking 4 or 5 years ago. I came down with the Lyons disease. That thing where a little wood tick will make you all sick. And so I quit drinking and I went on a diet and I started exercising and that. And I kind of got over it eventually. But I tell you, when you quit drinking, things start to look up in your life. People spend a lot of time, oh, it's so hard to quit drinking. And I think it is for some people. But there's also a lot of people where, you think it's going to be that big of a deal because everybody talks about what a big deal it is. It doesn't have to be. Anyway, there's a lot of people who kind of find their way to traditional spirituality by quitting drinking. You know those guys who really get all dressed up at the powwow and camp out and go on the sweat lodge and do all that. A lot of those guys got there because they had to quit drinking. You know, they'll all have stories about, you know, their drinking days when they behaved badly before they found a red road. So I don't know. But yeah, Serenity. Serenity now. Remember that from Seinfeld? An old dad. He was trying to find peace, and so he's listening to these tapes, and they said you're supposed to say to yourself, "Serenity now," to kind of center yourself. But he'd shout it, "Serenity now!" I don't think it was helping. So yeah, just hanging out, just chilling in the crib, as the kids say, in 1994, which is over 20 years ago now, 26 years ago. I don't know, man. These are crazy, 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 crazy nights. La, la, la. And Cassandra is the only one here. How you doing, Nijikwe? Hello, my female friend. In the Ojibwe words, we always call your male friend your brother. He's like, hey, Niji. But your female friends, you can either call them your Nijikwe, or I like to say Nishime, which is like your older sister, or Niseya, which is like your younger sibling. So yeah, let's see, what should we talk about today? I thought I was going to talk about sobriety, but I guess I'm not really feeling that. Sunny days, la-di-da. So I was thinking about Ernie and Bert the other day, as one does. And it's like, you know, what was the nature of their relationship? I always thought of them as being kind of like grown-ups. I didn't see them as little kids because they lived on their own. They were roommates. And in spite of what, you know, comedians will say nowadays, you know, they were just roommates. I pictured Ernie kind of being a little more blue collar. And Bert probably worked at like a Kinko's. You know, he probably had a job where he had to wear a name tag and dress pants. But Ernie, you know, I picture him working in construction or something. He was the more relaxed of the two. He was always laughing. And Bert would be like, Ernie, wah, 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 wah. And he'd, you know, faint all the time. I mean, nowadays he'd be like, hey, you're having a panic attack, man. You should relax, Bert. You should be more like Ernie. Go take a bath. But then it was kind of weird that Ernie had a rubber ducky. I mean, come on. Even by the time I was watching Sesame Street, I was too old for a rubber ducky. You know, I had a G.I. Joe. I didn't need a rubber ducky in a tub. What are we, kids? So yeah. So Ernie and Bert were kind of like the grown-ups. When you watch Sesame Street now, it's like, oh, Big Bird's supposed to be a kid? Come on, the guy was fully grown. And he lived on his own too. He had that big old nest behind the boards or something. He lived in town. I guess he was sort of homeless too. Like Oscar. Old homeless, living in the garbage. Oscar the Grouch. Well, I'd be kind of crabby too. You know, if I had to live in a garbage can. And the garbage can was sort of infinitely deep. You weren't sure if that just went down into like the cellar or something. He sometimes seemed to be able to grab stuff out of the bottom of that trash can and One time I think I saw this. I either saw this or I dreamt it. But Maria, she climbed out of that garbage can and her clothes were all torn up and she was all dirty. I think that happened, but it might have been a dream. I can't say for sure now. I could see myself dreaming about Maria that way. She was pretty hot. I'm sure she's like an old lady now. But Maria had it going on. Who else was on that? Oh, Snuffleupagus. When Snuffleupagus first came out, Big Bird was the only one who could see him. And he'd walk just off camera just a second before anybody else would see him. And Big Bird would be like, "Hey, you should meet my new friend, Snuffleupagus. He's this great big elephant or something. He's a furry, elephant, behemoth there. What are they called? Oh. But then they go, "Oh, Big Bird, you and your stories. Don't you know that he's just an imaginary friend?" And for the longest time, no one believed him. But then I think they finally revealed himself. Because it wasn't cool to send a message of, when you say stuff to a grown-up, they might call you a liar. But, yeah. But Sesame Street, boy, you could learn a lot there. I learned how to count to 10 in Spanish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And what else did I learn? I learned agua means water. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Learned a little bit about music. I don't know. Sesame Street. I haven't seen it in a long time. I was going to kind of watch some Sesame Street episodes, get inspired, but I couldn't get with it. I don't know. So, yeah. Anyway, Ernie and Bert. A couple of roommates living in the city. I wonder what'll ever happen to them. When things are going, they'll probably have them come out of the closet. Everybody's got to be gay now. All right. Well, hey, want to thank you for watching Boozhoo Nanaboozhoo, a podcast about Ojibwe language and culture. I am Nanaboozhoo, and I will see you again. Gigawabamin, Minowa, Hawa. All right. This is always kind of tricky. I don't know how to end the stream gracefully without doing this.